The book Atomic Habits is based on the premise of the 1% rule, which states that every 1% change you make adds up and compounds, which, thinking about it, makes sense. But when you make that 1% increase, it may feel pointless and like you're wasting your time. But those small increases compound and add together. For example, if you were to make 10 minuscule changes to your morning routine, like waking up 10 minutes earlier, having a cold shower instead of a warm one, and so on, then these 10 changes would, if each of these 10 changes increased your morning productivity by 1%, then obviously your mornings would get 10% more productive. And if you were to make more and more of these tiny 5-minute changes to your life, then of course your days would get even more productive. In addition to the concept of the 1% rule, Atomic Habits delves into the science behind habit formation and how small habits can have a big impact on our lives. Author James Clear argues that habits are the building blocks of our daily lives, and that by focusing on small incremental changes, we can change our habits and ultimately how we live our lives. He emphasizes the importance of making habits easy to implement and sustainable over the long term. He suggests creating habits that fit into our existing routines and environments and breaking larger goals down into smaller and more manageable steps. By making small changes that we can sustain in our daily lives, we can move towards a bigger goal easier without getting bored or giving up halfway through. One of the key takeaways from Atomic Habits is the idea of identity-based habits. Clear argues that in order to create lasting change, we have to not change just what we do, but how we see ourselves. For example, if someone wanted to lose weight, instead of just focusing on the weight loss, they would identify themselves as someone who's losing weight or someone who isn't fat. That way, as soon as they would go to skip their 5k run, they would think, what would someone who's losing weight do? What would someone who's not fat do? Would they really skip out on this run? And by changing these small steps, we can help to become the person that we change our identity to relate to. And each of these 1% changes helps reinforce that identity change. Another example of an identity-based habit would be if someone wants to become a healthier person. Rather than simply trying to eat healthier, they might focus on adopting the identity of a more active and healthy person. They might start by making small changes to their diet and removing 1 or 2 sugary things from the house and not buying the crisps or chocolate bars when they go shopping. They may also take the stairs instead of the lift, or swapping out sugary drinks for water. By making these small changes and identifying as a more active person, they may begin to reinforce the identity and create a positive feedback loop, and over time they may start to naturally gravitate towards the healthier options, such as joining a fitness class or trying new healthy recipes. By adopting an identity-based approach to habit formation, we can make lasting changes to our behaviour that are aligned with our values and who we want to be. This approach can help us to stay motivated and focused on our goals, even when we're faced with setbacks or challenges. James Clear, the author, explains that many bad habits follow a 4-step pattern. 1. Cue. 2. Craving. 3. Response. and 4, reward. Understanding this 4-step process can help individuals identify the root cause of their bad habits and make positive changes to the behaviour. The first step in the pattern is the cue, which is the trigger or the signal that prompts the behaviour. For example, the cue for someone who has a bad habit of biting their nails may be feeling bored, anxious, or nervous. The second step is the craving, which is the feeling of anticipation or desire that is associated with the behaviour. For someone who bites their nails, the craving may be the feeling of relief or satisfaction they get when they bite their nails. The third step is the response, which is the actual behaviour or action that takes place after the craving. So for this, using the same example, it would be the actual biting of the nails. And the reward may be the temporary feeling of relief or satisfaction they get. That is the fourth step, the reward. Clear explains that by understanding this pattern, individuals can start to break bad habits by identifying and changing the cue, craving, response, or reward associated with said habit. For example, someone who bites their nails might try to identify the underlying triggers for this habit, which may be boredom and anxiety. They may try to cope with these feelings or find alternative behaviours that can replace these, like meditating or breathing deeply. After identifying the bad habits, he presents a 4-step system you can use to break bad habits that he calls the 4 laws of behaviour change. This system is designed to help readers identify the root cause of their bad habits. The first law is to make the bad habit invisible. This means identifying specific situations or triggers that lead to the bad habit and removing them. For example, if someone has a bad habit of snacking on junk food while watching TV, they may put the snacks in a different room to their TV or not watch TV at all. The second law is to make the good habit visible. This involves creating a clear and specific plan for the new behaviour they're trying to implement and make sure it's easy to follow through. For example, if someone wants to develop a habit of reading for 30 minutes each day, they may put a book on their bed or set aside a specific time for reading each day. The third law is to make the new habit attractive. This means finding ways to make the new behaviour more enjoyable or rewarding. For example, someone who wants to develop a habit of exercising may choose an activity they already enjoy, such as dancing or hiking or cycling. Or they may enlist a workout buddy for added motivation and accountability. The fourth and final law is to make the habit unrewarding. This involves creating consequences for the bad behaviour or finding ways to remove the rewards associated with it. For example, someone who has a bad habit of smoking may choose to save the money they would have spent on cigarettes and use it to reward themselves for staying smoke-free. Once you've identified the root cause of these bad habits, you can use a reverse version of these steps that can be used to break them. The first step in the reverse system is to make the bad habit obvious. This means identifying the specific cues or triggers that lead to the bad habit and becoming more aware of them. For example, someone who has the bad habit of biting their nails may notice that they do it when they're anxious or bored. The second step is to make the bad habit unattractive. This involves finding ways to make the bad habit less appealing or rewarding. For example, someone who smokes may choose to associate smoking with unpleasant smells or tastes by carrying around a small container of vinegar or hot sauce to sniff or taste when the craving arrives. The third step is to make the bad habit difficult. This means creating barriers or obstacles that make it harder for the bad habit to be carried out. For example, someone who procrastinates a lot may choose to block distracting websites using a website blocker or turn off their phone during work. The fourth and final step is to make the bad habit unsatisfying. This involves creating consequences for the bad behaviour or finding ways to remove the rewards associated with it. For example, someone who has a bad habit of overspending may choose to remove their card off their phone or stop carrying cash around with them when it's not necessary. Next, after we've broken the bad habits, the next step, of course, is to reinforce and implement some new habits. The way we do that is with a technique called habit stacking. Habit stacking is a technique that can help reinforce good habits by linking them to already existing ones, such as brushing your teeth with making your morning coffee or checking your email. Once you've identified the first habit, you can then select a new habit to do at the same time, so that it will increase the likelihood that it'll stick over time and link it into the existing one. For example, let's say you want to start meditating daily. You could use habit stacking by linking your meditation habit to your morning coffee ritual. While your hot water is boiling for the coffee, or the coffee machine is making it, you could perform a quick 3-minute meditation session. Over time, habit stacking will become intrinsic and you'll automatically do it without thinking about it, but at the start it can be quite difficult to link these two activities together. The key is to choose a cue that is both consistent and easy to remember. It's also important to start with small habits that are easily performed and can gradually build up to more complex habits over time. By using habit stacking to reinforce good habits, you can create a positive feedback loop that helps us build momentum and make progress towards our goals. Over time, these small incremental changes can add up to significant improvements in your life and help you achieve your goals more quickly and effectively. The last actionable step I have to help you with controlling your habits today is something that I believe very strongly in, and that is the fact that our environment plays a crucial role in shaping our behaviour, and that we can use this knowledge to create an environment that supports our goals and reinforces good habits. Sorry. One way to do this is by redesigning our physical environment to make it easier to perform the habits we want to develop. For example, if you want to start a daily exercising habit, you could place your workout clothes and shoes next to your bed at night, so that the second you wake up they're right next to you, and this makes it easier to get you started with your next workout and also remind you of it. I would also like to emphasise the importance of your social environment in shaping your habits, as this is key for developing good ones and breaking bad ones. Surrounding yourself with people who have similar goals, whether that be getting fit or quitting smoking or anything else positive you're trying to change, can help create accountability between you and also reinforce your need to stop the bad ones. Whereas if you surround yourself with, say, a bunch of people who smoke regularly and you're trying to quit, or a bunch of people who play video games and you're trying to stop playing video games as much, then you're most likely not going to succeed, as you're just going to get brought back into whatever habit you're trying to break. The last thing I want to leave you with today is a quote from a motivational speaker, Jim Rohn, who says that we are the sum of the 5 people we spend the most time with, which I believe is an excellent quote and one, quite frankly, more people should consider when they choose who they spend their time with. Have a good day and a great week.